Okay, so we just ordered a product from Dealzer.com. We're going to go ahead and kind of go through the different aspects of it, unpacking it, and show you kind of what to expect when it comes in the mail. Now initially when it comes in, you can see that it's got steel staples, it's heavy-duty corrugated cardboard, and everything looks good. Now if your product comes in and it looks severely damaged on the outside, you should definitely notify UPS or Dealzer. But you can see that for us it came in perfectly fine. So in the following videos here we'll go over opening it and showing you kind of what's going on. So now as we're opening the box, you can see it was really well packed. There's a lot of foam insulation. There's good built-in corner pieces, which is nice to prevent damage. So it looks like they packed the box well. It's got nice plastic wrap. You can see the product underneath. And so we'll keep opening it here and show you how it goes. Alright, so now I took the unit here out of the box. And the first thing I notice, everything looks in good working order. There's no damage. It looks like the quality of it's really good too. Looks like we have a sealed plug port in the back. Looks like a fan with a nice vent cover. You can see on the sides here for the latching mechanisms that there's a nice rubber seal all along the inside of gasket. And when you pop the lock, it loosens that up. So you can see that right on the inside of the door. So it looks like that's making a real nice solid seal. And of course you can lock this with a master lock, which is beautiful. And again, as I open it here, looks like everything arrived intact. Looks really nice on the quality. Everything's bubble wrapped inside, and so we'll start to pull that out and set this baby up. But so far, it's looking really beautiful. All right, so now at this point, I opened up the box, and the first thing I noticed right off the bat is just looking at the lid. You can see that the holes are drilled out really well. Whoever made this cleaned them. There aren't any like sticking out plastic pieces or reams. Also, you can see here the different items that are included, and your instruction sheet for the Cash Cab 5.0 that covers the items on the packing list that you need to check to make sure that are there. It looks like everything's good. We've got our grow and bloom bulbs. We've got our light timer here, which I'll show you how to use a little later. We've got our net pots, 2 inchers. Our simple light fixtures here for screwing in the bulbs. Looks like the card from Dealzer. So we've got the info there from them if you're interested in getting one. At least you know where to go. We've got starter plugs here, little squishy seed starter plugs for our plants. Moon dust plant fertilizer, which is really good. We've got the Green Pad Co2 Generator for boosting CO2, which we'll talk about a little later. Airstone, looks like the whole shebang. And Ona, this product is really good for odor control. That's nice, that's included as well. So, right off the bat, let's take a look and see how well these net pots fit. Usually you can tell the quality of a grow box by whether or not they fall through. And it looks like, even with a good bit of pressure, you cannot push them through. Now I can't stress how important that is, because if you get a subpar grow box, a lot of times these cups will fall right through the holes, and that can cause major problems down the road. So it looks like everything is well built here from this product. Well-lined Mylar, even no creases, no malfunctions. Everything looks pretty good. So put these in just to kind of show you how the unit will look when it's up and running. And we'll go on to the next step. But yeah, just for the unpacking, make sure everything's there. But so far, we're looking really good. It's a nice looking product. Okay, so now let's talk about how we're going to set up the air pump and the reservoir system. The first thing that I like to do personally is take my lid off, pop out those nut cups and put them in there. And what you're going to do is take the end of your tubing that doesn't have the air stone, run it through the little hole on the side, and screw that in up here at the top. It's just a pressure fit into your air pump. Now the good thing is with this air pump, you see it's at the top of the unit. If the air pump was on the ground and it was below the water line, you can actually have an instance where the water will flow back up the tube and can ruin the pump. So this is nice, and it's very stable and solidly in place. So yeah, what you're going to do is just lay that air stone in the water like so. Usually take the extra little bit of tubing and just kind of press it in like that. Now, one of the tricks that you can do when you go to fill up the reservoir is I personally like to take one of the net pots and put it against the side of the tub and just take a Sharpie marker, and you usually want the water level about halfway up the net pot. The reason being, you're going to have the organic seed starter plugs in here, and you don't want them to be fully submerged and have the water come out, but you do want enough that when the seed starter plug is in the net pot and in the container, that you won't have an issue with it drying out. So you can see that the squishy starter plug, by the way, this is made out of a mix of bark and latex, and I'll show you how to plant your seeds shortly, but that goes in like so, as you can imagine, and you want to make sure that that stays nice and wet. So what I like to do is take and line that up about so along the side. Just take a marker and mark about halfway up the net cup there. Make sure that you can see it. Hold on here as I adjust the camera. And that way you'll know where the fill line should be for your water. Enough to keep it wet but not overflow. So that's the first thing to do. And then as far as these organic starter plugs, when you go to actually plant them, what you're going to do is put your seed right in the center of the plug. There's a very small hole in the middle, and the hole goes down about 1/4 inch deep. So you're going to put your seed in there, and you want it to be about 1/4 inch, and I'll sometimes tear off a little piece of the plug, the side of it, and just press it on top, and that just makes sure that the seed doesn't dry out and stays nice and moist. Now, the reason you never want to germinate your seeds with the paper towel method, even though the paper towel method is very good at getting roots to start, the problem with it is when you have a seedling, you'll have a main taproot, which forms just fine with the paper towel method, but what you don't see, and you'll see under a microscope, is there's thousands of little micro roots that come off that main taproot. And whenever you take that paper towel and you peel it apart, you tear off all the micro roots and only leave the main taproot, and that does actually stress the plant and cause some problems. So it is better, if at all possible, to germinate right in these little starter plugs. Now, just to note too, these starter plugs are pH balanced, so there's no need, unlike rock wool and other media where you have to pH balance them, you don't need to do anything except just put them right in here, put it in the tub, and just fill it with water and let your plants grow. So give me a little bit here and we'll talk about the next part of setting up the unit. Okay, so in this portion of the video we're going to talk about how to set up the lighting system. When you get your box, like we talked about, you'll have 3 bulbs that are marked G for grow, and of course that'll be what you're starting with. Now these are standard fluorescents just like you would see in a typical household fixture. There's nothing terribly complicated about them. On the plus side, when you're dealing with fluorescent light fixtures, is there's very little heat, so you don't have to worry about your plants getting fried or your grow box overheating, so that's a plus. On the other side of the coin, they're not as powerful as high-intensity discharges, so your yields will be a little lower, but they'll still be nominal and reasonable for small to mid-sized plants. Now, as far as the fixture goes, all you're going to do is just screw it in like you would any other standard light bulb. This is an Edison style. It's the smaller one, as opposed to the real big mogul sockets you sometimes hear of. So we're going to do that for each of the 3 bulbs. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, when you look at this power strip, there is 2 hooks at the top, which you probably can't see too well with the camera. But what you're going to do is you want to have these chains fairly close to your plants to start with. So we're going to start with them about 80% of the chain length, so they're nice and close to your plants. And then as your plants are growing, you're going to lift them accordingly. And we'll go through that here, how you would set that up. And what you're going to do is just take your power strip and plug in your light fixtures one at a time. Now, like I said, there's 3 of them. So we'll plug in the 3, and then we will adjust our light a little bit to make sure it's evenly balanced in the grow box. Again, the nice thing is that because it's got a reflective interior, even if it's not perfectly straight or something slightly cockeyed, it'll still give you adequate light for your plants and make sure that things are going and growing well. Again, though, these fluorescents won't get so hot that they'll burn your fingers or hurt you or be a fire risk or hazard for your home. So again, that's really key. And it's more than suffice when you're dealing with a very small grow box like this. You're not growing 30 man-sized plants. You're just growing some smaller ones in a smaller space. So we'll plug in our third one here. Again, it's just a standard power strip with an on-off button. Nothing terribly complicated. We'll plug that in a little bit to test it out, make sure everything's working right. Now that I have my left side nice and straight, I have it at the height I want. Now I'm going to adjust the right side so that way I make sure the height is roughly where I want it to be. And there you go. So that's how you hang the light fixture. Okay, so in this video what we're going to talk about is the light timer and how that works. Now these timers are really confusing if you've never worked with one before, but I'll cover the basics and show you how easy it really is. On both the left and right side of your timer, there's just standard plugs, standard receptacles, and that's where your light fixture or anything that you want to be on the timer will plug in. Now on the side there's also a little button. If you push the button up to where it's got the little eye, it'll turn the lights or whatever's plugged into it on all the time. So the timer will not be activated if it's pushed up. Now you can kind of see that there's a little timer feature there, and once you push that button down, it kicks your timer in. So that's what you want. You want the button to be down and your timer to be on. Now as far as the light cycle, you can see that there's a full 24 hours here. And the best thing to do is normally to take and set it for the current time. So with this little black arrow, let's say that it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What we'll do is we'll take and we'll put it to 3 p.m. That way, we have it according to what the current time is for your local time zone. And then when you want the light to kick in, you push down effectively half of the buttons, or however many buttons you want for the on time. So if we want our light cycle to be 12 hours on, 12 hours off, just hypothetically, what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we'll have the lights go on at 12 p.m. and go off at 12 a.m. So what we're going to do is press all of these little tabs down. I don't know if you can see it well with my thumb, but I'm pushing them all down about half of the cycle. Now each one of these little buttons counts for a 15-minute increment. Okay, so it's 15, 30, 45, 60 minutes in an hour. So that's 4 buttons in any given hour between each position. So now we have half on, half off. Again, where the buttons are pushed down, it's on, and where they're not, it's off. And again, I don't know if you can see here in the corner, but wherever that arrow is, that's when it's on. So once you plug this in, the timer's going to turn slowly, and then it'll click from the on period to the off period. All right? So you can adjust your light accordingly that way. And what we're going to do is take and the plug on the back of the unit that would normally plug into the wall, instead of plugging into the wall, it's going to plug into this timer, and then this timer is going to plug into the wall. Now you can also, if you want, plug the fan into the other end of the timer, because the fan does not need to be on when the light is off, or you could just plug it in directly into the wall for the fan too. It actually doesn't make a big deal either way. However, the one thing that you do not want to plug into the timer is the plug that goes to your air pump. That air pump should be plugged in 24 hours a day. You never want your air pump to be off. The reason being that air pump is providing oxygen to the roots of your plants, and they need oxygen even when the light's off. And if you plug the air pump into that light timer and it's off for half the day, what will effectively happen is the oxygen levels in your reservoir will get too low, and you can get things called root rot, which is like a bacterial infection of your roots, and it can kill your plants. So make sure that you don't do that. All right, in this section here, we're going to talk a little bit about adding fertilizer to the system and getting it set up for the first time, adding water. I'll show you how to do seeds and all that. Now the plant fertilizer product that comes with your grow box is called Moon Dust. It's an all-in-one fertilizer that you use from start to finish for all plant types, especially things like tomatoes that are very nutrient heavy. They require lots of good fertilizer to ensure they grow properly. Now this product is really good because it has all your basics covered in a very good balanced formula that you use for both veg and bloom, along with beneficial organisms like beneficial fungi and bacteria and humic acid and other things that if you were to go out and say get a similar product from Advanced Nutrients, you'd be mixing Carbo Load, Tarantula, Voodoo Juice, about 20 different products to really equal what's in here. And a lot of people don't realize it, but when your plants are in the bloom phase, they still use 2 to 3 times as much nitrogen, which is this first number, the one represented by 19, is they do of the other two, even in the bloom phase. So having a high nitrogen fertilizer is really key to making sure things go very well. Now with this product, it's very hydrophilic, which means that it sucks water out of the air. So if you leave the bag open, it's going to suck moisture from the air and it's going to become hard like a rock. Now it's got this nice resealable zipper on top, so that way you can reseal it. And I recommend very strongly that you do that, or else you'll have problems down the road where it becomes hard. Now if it does become hard like a rock, it can still be used. The only problem with it is it's just inconvenient for you to break it up. Now when you first start out and start doing seedlings, this is a half teaspoon scooper, and you only want to do about 1/8 of a teaspoon, so just a little bit of fertilizer. A little bit goes a long way, and it's better to do not enough than too much. So we're going to take and mix that in, I put it in a large 1-gallon mason jar here, so that way you can see a little bit of the coloration in the video. It turns it a light blue color, and just to kind of give you a visual of what's going on. So we're going to take and mix that in. Now this green reservoir that you have is just shy of 2 gallons, so it's going to be roughly 2 of these. And I've already poured 1 in. But now I'm going to pour the second one in and get it right up to that black line. There we go. So it's enough to get our little grow cubes wet. Now that we have our water and our fertilizer in there, we're all set. And I'm going to show you how to plant a seed, which we talked about a little bit earlier. These are soybeans. Again, you can use just about any plant type you'd like. And what you're going to do is take this organic squishy starter plug, and you're going to push the seed in the little hole that's pre-made in the center, rip a little piece off the side, put it on top to make sure that it stays humid and moist. And by the way, as the plant grows, it's going to pop that little insert right out. It's just to protect it in the early stages. And then we'll drop it in, make sure that your cube is getting wet from the water below, which it is. It's wicking it right up, and you're good to go. Now, a couple notes on running any type of hydroponic system. You typically want to change your water and fertilizer out in a system like this anywhere between 3 and 5 days. Every 3 to 5 days, you should dump this whole reservoir out, put in fresh water, fresh fertilizer, and keep doing that. Be very, very careful to do that frequently. If you don't, what's going to happen is the pH level in your reservoir is going to get very acidic as your plants are growing, and the fertilizer will also get out of balance too. It starts as a nice balanced level, but as the plants take up the fertilizer, it'll get imbalanced and it'll start to get nutrient deficiencies. So that's really, really important. If you want, you can get other devices like a pH digital testing meter to make sure the pH is right around 5.5, which is ideal. You can get a nutrient testing meter called a TDS meter. It stands for Total Dissolved Solids. And what that does is it tells you what your nutrient levels are to make sure that you're not putting too much in. Now, when I told you to use about 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon to start, that's just to start. As your plants grow bigger, you're going to be closer to 1/2 a teaspoon to a teaspoon per gallon. which is going to bring your total dissolved solid level up to anywhere between 600 to 1200. It's called parts per million, ppm, on your meter, and that'll let you know that you're in the right zone. Now what I did here with the lights, just to kind of show you as an example, the middle light is a flowering light, and these two are the grow bulb light, just to see if you can see the difference. It's going to be tough to show on camera, but these two are more blue, and this one is more of an orange, orangish color. Now, in this video, you can hear my voice, and if you notice, I'm sure you can't hear much of the air pump or the fan or anything else in the background. Everything is running right now, and it's very, very quiet. I can't stress that enough. And just to also show you as far as the light seal, I'm going to take the camera here and take it off my tripod that's holding it, and I'm just going to show you quickly that when we shut this door and lock it, just to show you how nice that seal is, all that light leakage that would normally be there is gone. That's a nice sealed box, again, with no light leakage at all. And even when looking at the back of the unit, you can see that the air filter at the bottom, there's no light leakage. You're good to go up here by the plug. It's you know, nice and very well situated. So yeah, this is a great little box, and you know, we're having fun playing with it and showing you how the unit works. So we'll keep you updated. We're going to do some grows and show some time-lapse videos, but for now, that's the Cash Cab 5.0. Okay, so one of the things we're going to talk about too is the green pad CO2 generator, which is an optional item that you can get with the unit. And with that, it's actually very easy to use. All you're going to do is take this little hanger here, and you're going to clip it on to the top of the pad like so. Just press down on these little metal hooks here, just like you would any normal piece of clothing. Pop them up, put in the pad, shut them. Now, it's worth noting that these pads are only good in a grow box this size for about 2 weeks. So after about 2 weeks, you're going to want to swap and put a new one in. Now, on the actual grow box itself, you're going to see that there's a little hook. There's a little hook at the top portion here, and that hook is where you'll actually hang the CO2 pad. Now, there's two sides to the pad. The one side is kind of a solid plastic. The other side is more of a cloth surface, and you're going to want to have the cloth surface on the outside and exposed, and you're going to take a spray bottle and you're just going to spray this cloth surface top to bottom, and keep it wet but not dripping wet. You don't want water pouring off of the bottom, but just enough that it's moist. And you're just going to hit it with a spray bottle, get it nice and moist, and then let it do its thing. Again, that'll raise the CO2 levels for about 2 weeks. Now, typically when you're starting seeds and you're just starting off, it's not really worth it to add the CO2. You typically want to add CO2 when your plants are about 3 or 4 inches or bigger. Before that, it doesn't really do a whole lot. However, when you buy this additional CO2 option, it comes with several pads, so you have enough here for a couple cycles. Now, it's also worth mentioning that with the green pad CO2 generator, it is nice because you don't have any gas burners, you don't have any heavy things hanging, you don't have any CO2 canisters to fill. It's very nice and easy to use when you're using a small scale grow box. Not so much for a very large industrial level grow room, but for a grow box, it's really an ideal little system. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about is the ONA odor block. Earlier in the video, I had talked about this product and said you can take it and use it to control odor, and that is absolutely true. All you're going to do is unscrew the top and take this little block here and place it behind your grow box somewhere. If it needs to be inside, you can put it on top of the plants right in the middle, somewhere like here, and let them grow around it. However, I recommend that you take it and put it outside the unit, usually on the floor or near it, and it'll help kill the odors in your room.